Hey guys, once again welcome back to DevOps Master. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create CI/CD pipeline for your static web application using AWS DevOps related services. This project will be good add-on to your resume, mainly for freshers who are trying to get into AWS cloud and DevOps related domains. So without wasting time, let's get started. So this is our simple web application, guys. Static web application, find route. It's like a direction app which takes user data of origin and destination, and it will find route for us. Like for example, Hyderabad to Bangalore. Click on find route. It will redirect me to the Google Maps, and it will give the direction between those cities. So this is the simple web application we are going to deploy on AWS using CodePipeline. It's like CI/CD pipeline. We are going to create CI/CD pipeline. So guys, let me give you a brief overview what is happening here. This is the architecture of our project, starting with code files. Code files are files which are present in our local. These files are related to our web application. Let me show you: abstract.yml, buildspec.yml, index.html, and some scripts. These are the files we need to push them to the code commit. CodeCommit is similar to Git and GitHub. It's like version control service provided by AWS. So we will push our local files to the CodeCommit. From there, CodeBuild will take those files and it will build our project, and it will store generated artifacts in S3 bucket. So we need to create one S3 bucket also. From S3 bucket, CodeDeploy will take those artifacts and it will start deploying our web application on EC2. So we need to create one EC2 instance also. I am using EC2 instance for deployment, and you have one more option like using Lambda to deploy, but I am using EC2 instance. So we will be automating this whole process using CodePipeline. So this is the architecture. Next, coming to prerequisites. We need one AWS account and one IAM user. I have divided this project in three parts. Coming to part 1, I will explain you what is CodeCommit and how to create repository on CodeCommit and pushing files to the CodeCommit repository. With this, our part 1 will complete. Next, going to part 2. In part 2, we will be knowing what is CodeBuild and how to create buildspec.yml file, and we have to push it to the CodeCommit, and we need to create one S3 bucket to store our artifacts. And after that, we will start building our project. After completing part 2, we will move on to the part 3. In part 3, we will be knowing what is CodeDeploy and how to create abstract.yml. By using abstract.yml, then only we can deploy our web application. So we will be knowing that how to create, and we will be pushing those changes to the CodeCommit, and we will be starting our web application building process using CodeBuild once again to store our latest updated files on ES3 bucket. Next one is creating EC2 instance to deploy our web application, and also we need to install CodeDeploy agent on our EC2 instance. That agent will do all the process of deployment for us. Next is starting deployment, and after that, if our application is running successfully, we will be automating this whole process. So this is the theory, and let's do hands-on. Okay, let's start with part 1, AWS CodeCommit. As I said, AWS CodeCommit is version control service provided by AWS. This service will be used by programmers to store code files. It is similar to Git and GitHub. Programmers will use these services to store their files, so they can track their changes in codes, and whenever needed, they can go back to the older version of their code. So this is the secure way of storing their code files. So we need to push our local files to the CodeCommit repository. For that, we need to create one repository. Just go to the AWS console and search for CodeCommit. There you will find the CodeCommit. For creating repository, you have to click on create repository and scroll down. Provide a name for your repository. I will be naming it as a my direction app. Next, description is optional. If you want to provide, you can, and tags also. Additional configurations. Next one, enable Amazon Cloud Guru. It's like scanning your code. Next, create. So this simple, it is creating repository in CodeCommit. We have to clone this repo. For that, I will be clicking on clone HTTPS. Coming to VS Code, here my files are stored. If I do git status, it will say that not a git repository. So for that, I need to initialize git here. Git init. When I do git init, git is initialized. But if I search for git remote, my remote is not present. So for that, I need to like add my remote repository here. Remote git remote add origin and this URL. It will initialize repository for us, remote repository for us. When I do git remote -v, you can see it's initialized. So let's add git add done git commit -m message files are added, enter, done. We have to push git push origin master. Okay, done. If I come here, if I do refresh, we can find our files here. So this is the code commit, guys. It's similar to git only and GitHub, sorry, similar to GitHub GUI version of git. So you can see our files are pushed to our repository, remote repository. Part 1 is done. Next, move into part 2. Part 2. In part 2, we will be building our project using CodeBuild. CodeBuild is like used to like simple building our project. It used to package our application and download our some libraries and store artifacts in S3 bucket. So this is done by CodeBuild. For that, we need to build our project. Go to AWS console, search for CodeBuild. There you will find CodeBuild. Click on that and it will open. This type of overview will come. Click on build project. Next, create project. It's taking little bit time. Okay, name for your project. I will be naming as my direction app. Okay, don't go to additional configurations. Next, coming to source, like from where you are taking files, I will be using CodeCommit for that. Here you can see multiple options: AWS S3, AWS CodeCommit, GitHub, Bitbucket, GitHub Enterprise, GitLab. So multiple options are there. AWS will configure with multiple tools also. Click on AWS CodeCommit. Next, repository, my direction app. Next, which branch, master, that's it. Scroll down and like environment, on demand or reserved capacity, which one? On demand only. Managed images, EC2. You can use Lambda also. It's like internal environment of AWS. It's using internal environment only for building our project. I will be choosing Ubuntu standard only. Image is standard version. Always use the latest image for this runtime version. Okay, no service role, existing service role. Okay, we have to create one service role for building our web application. We need to provide some permissions. Okay, if you don't have, just new role, select new service role, it will create for you. I will be using existing CodeBuild. If you want to see what are the permissions are there, let me show you. Search for this CodeBuild direction of service role. This is the role. In this I have permissions like CodeBuild policy. You can see these are the permissions for that role: CloudWatch logs, CodeBuild, CodeCommit, S3. So we have to provide permission for CodeBuild to access files in CodeCommit. So these are some permissions in that role. Use this role. Next, build specification, insert build commands or use buildspec.yml file. I will be using buildspec.yml file. Let me show you what it is. It's used for building your web application. Think of it as a recipe for baking cake. Okay, it will give instructions to your computer how to build your web application in step-by-step manner. It includes compiling code, running tests and packaging your web application and storing generated artifacts in S3 bucket. so it can be ready to deploy. So this is buildspec.yml file. You can see phases. These are the steps what should happen while building. Install commands sudo apt update -y. It's like it will update the software, and it will install nginx and build commands. It will copy the index.html file to this location var/www/html. Next, post build commands. Echo nginx configuration. It's like just print configuration, nginx configuration. Okay, artifacts. It will store all the files in S3 bucket. So these are the build commands. We will be using buildspec.yml file. Okay, we have to provide name buildspec.yml. Sorry, buildspec.yml. Next, batch configuration, no need. Artifacts. Let me show you. I have created one S3 bucket. Here you can see my direction app bucket. So I will be giving this bucket as an artifact. Amazon S3 bucket, my directional bucket app. Name, like in file in which we are going to store our artifacts, I will be naming it as artifacts only. Enable semantic version, no need. Path, no need. Namespace, no need. Packaging, it has to be in zip format. Next, that's it. Create build project. It will build the project for us. We need to start building. Okay, done. Start build. It will build all the commands which we have given in build.spec file, and it will copy the index.html in some that given directory and given path. In progress, you can see here command 1, download, succeed, entering phase, install running code, installing nginx, running command sudo apt get update, updating, running sudo apt install nginx, installing nginx, done, succeed, done. If I go to phase details, here you can see submitted, QA, provisioning, download source, install, everything is succeed. Post build, upload artifacts, finalizing, complete. So our build is successful, guys. If I go to S3 bucket and if I move inside the bucket, here I will find the artifact file. See, artifacts. So with this part 2 also completed, we have to move on to part 3. Okay, part 3, guys. In part 3 we will be deploying our web application using CodeDeploy. If you open CodeDeploy, at left side you will see that deploy, getting started, deployments, applications. What we want to deploy application, for that we need to create our application first. Click on application, create application. We need to provide name for our application, my direction app. Okay, next we need to provide compute platform. We have 3 options. It is EC2 on premises, AWS Lambda, Amazon ECS. Here we have 3 options: EC2 on premises, AWS Lambda, and Amazon ECS. I will be selecting EC2 on premises. Next, create application. Our application is created. Next, we need to create deployment group. Deployment group is like now we have to deploy on group instances. We need instances, so we need to create deployment group. Before creating deployment group, we have to create EC2 instance. In group we need instances. It's like group of instances on which we are going to deploy our web application. Okay, we need to provide name for our application, my direction app hyphen DG, deployment group. Service role, code deploy service role, I have already created. Let me show you what is there in that roles. It's called build now. Okay, code deploy service role, control C, control. Okay, this is the role, and what permissions it has. It has Amazon EC2 full access, Amazon S3 full access, AWS CodeDeploy full access, AWS CodeDeploy role. So these are the permissions that role is having. Okay, that's it. Next, in place, like deployment type, we have multiple strategies like in place and blue and green. We need to create one more separate video about this. Okay, I will be selecting in place. Next, environment configuration, EC2 instance, Amazon EC2 instance. Okay, we don't have an EC2 instance, so for that we need to create one instance. Come to instances, launch instance, provide name for our instance, my direction app hyphen instance. Okay, direction app instance. Next, scroll down Ubuntu T2 micro key, my new key, network security group, existing security group I will be using. Okay, launch user 2 configuration, that's it. Advanced, move on to IAM instance profile. I will be using EKS role for code deploy. You have to create one role for EC2 instance. So why? Because what this role will do, it will give permissions to our EC2 instance to access a code deploy, code build. So it can take artifacts like files, instructions from code deploy. It need permissions for that. That permission will be given by this EC2 role for code deploy. Let me show you. Uh, Move on to roles. EC2 here. EC2 Amazon, it has permissions of Amazon EC2 role for AWS code deploy. Okay, just give this policy to that role and it assigned to the EC2 while creating EC2. Okay, next, that's it. We need to provide user data. Okay, I will be choosing file where it is, desktop projects, AWS projects, direction app. Okay, install. That's it. We have provided file, launch instance. Instance is launching. Let's wait for completion. Spending. Okay, it's running. Just copy this name and come to our deployment name, paste here. Okay, next, scroll down. No need of load balancer. Create deployment group. Done. Deployment group also created. Okay, we will be using appspec.yml file for our web application deployment on any servers or cloud platform. It specifies what need to happen during deployment, such as copying files at right place and running scripts to create environment for our application, and also restarting services so our application can go live. So this is the use of appspec.yml file and we will be using for deployment. So here you can see we have given version 0.0. You can give any version, it's your application. Operating system is Linux. Files are source file index.html and destination is var.html. This is the location, right location where we are storing our files. And look, hooks are like we have before install and after install like commands. Before install commands is like location, take scripts, it's like a running scripts. This is the script. Inside scripts we have install nginx.sh file. In that we will be updating the system and installing nginx on the server. It is done by our CodeDeploy agent. This whole process is done by CodeDeploy agent. Okay, next, start nginx. If you go to application start scripts slash start nginx, this is the file. It will start nginx. So and timeout is 300 seconds. Every 300 seconds it will check, and run as root. We will be as a running it all this. We will be running as root. We will be doing these things as root user. We will be doing these things as root user. So this is appspec.yml file. Okay, now we can create deployment. For that we need to click on create deployment. Okay, scroll down, application name, deployment group, complete platform EC2, deployment type in place, revision type. My application is stored in Amazon S3. Yes, our application is stored in Amazon S3. We need to provide location for that. Go to S3, select artifacts, and from here we have to copy our URL. Okay, just copy this and come to deployment, paste here. Revision type, it's zip file. That's it, nothing else. Create deployment. Done. Deployment is done, created. It's failed, saying that it's failed. Why? The deployment, because no instance were found for the deployment group. Check your deployment group settings to make sure the tags for the Amazon EC2 instance auto scaling group correctly and instance you deploy to. Okay, let's go to our instance. check here it's created or not. Let's copy this, come to deployment. Application, my deployment, okay, my directional. Okay, once again create deployment S3. We have to copy, Control V, revision type, zip, done, everything is okay, create deployment. Again failed. No, because no instance were found over your deployment group. Check your deployment group settings to make the deployment configuration. Application. Let's edit this. Okay. Let's copy from here. Come. Done. Now matching instances. One unique match is instance found. Done, guys. Save changes. Create deployment. Done. 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 Same. We have to select this. Revision type zip. Done. Create deployment. Let's hope this time it will work. Deployment is created. In progress. If I go to view events, here we can see application stop, succeed, download bundle, succeed, before install, succeed, install, succeed, after install, succeed, application start, succeed, validate service, succeed. So our deployment is succeeded. Next revision location. Okay, and from here copy the IP address and search in Google. See, our application is successfully deployed and it's running. Let's check Kolkata to Pune, Pine Road. Done. Successfully running. You can see here. Deployment also done. We need to automate this process using CodePipeline. Now we need to automate this whole process using AWS CodePipeline. For that, we need to open AWS CodePipeline from the console and click on Create Pipeline. Okay. Pipeline name. I will be naming it as my direction app underscore pipeline. Pipeline type is V2. Execution mode. Here we have three types of execution modes. Coming to superseded. Superseded execution means new execution will overtakes the older execution. Okay, this is superseded execution mode. And queued mode means executions are in a queue, line, in a line. They will be executed line by line. After completing first one, second one will be executed. Okay, next coming to parallel. In this execution mode, executions are parallel and independent. Okay, they simultaneously executed. So we will be selecting queued one. In this, executions will be in a line. Okay, next service role. If you don't have service role already created, just select new service role. It will create for you. ARN is AWS CodePipeline. Variables no need. Okay, next source CodeCommit. Our source provider, code provider is AWS CodeCommit. Coming to repository, my direction app. Branch master. We will be selecting master branch. Okay, AWS CodePipeline. change detection options, AWS code pipeline. If any change occurs in AWS code pipeline, it will automatically trigger full blown code pipeline default. Okay, next. Build provider, obvious, AWS code build provider. Project name, my direction app. That's it. Single build. Next, choose provider, AWS code deploy. Application name, my direction app. Deployment group, my direction app DG. That's it. Next, review. That's it. And scroll down. Create pipeline. So pipeline is created. Okay, it's releasing changes. Alert closing. Okay, done, created, it's running. You can see our code commit source retrieval is done, successful. Next is building process. If you click on view details, here view entire log, there you will find what is happening in background. It will be installing Nginx, starting Nginx, copying files to var/www/html. So all this process will be going on. Loading CloudWatch logs. Here you will find, yeah, you can see post build state, running Ubuntu. Okay, let's go to pipeline. Done, successful. Running command echo building, running command sudo cp index.html, running command configuring Nginx. Okay, done. Build also done. Next, deploying. Okay, deployment also succeeded, guys. It's successful. If we go to instance, our EC2 instance, if I copy IP address, and search on Google, here we will find our application running and up. Yeah, let's select some. Successful, guys. You can see we have deployed our web application successfully and created CI/CD pipeline using AWS CodePipeline. So this is the project, guys. Some people might get this doubt that why should we use CodePipeline to deploy our web application instead of why can't we use Jenkins? It is open source and free to use. Why we pay more by using CodePipeline? Some people might get this doubt. Majorly, okay, yes, both are for creating CI/CD pipeline, deploying your applications and automating them, but both are doing same work, but some differences are there in both cases. For example, if you are using CodePipeline to deploy your web application, your infrastructure creation and management whole is taken care by AWS only. But if you deploying your web application and automating the process of CI/CD, you have to create your infrastructure and you need to create your servers. Anyways, you have to use cloud provider. So in that, management is some bit difficult, but if you using AWS, this one be done by AWS only. But each one has separate advantages. If you are using Jenkins, you can configure with different tools and you can have multiple options of cloud providers. But in AWS, it's not like that. It's have its own environment. Okay, but let me tell you for whom it will be suitable. Suppose you have an organization and your applications and your servers are everything is deployed on AWS. You are using a AWS ecosystem. Then AWS code pipeline will be a best option for you to deploy your web application. Why? Because everything is taken care by AWS and it will be more secure for you. But if you have expertise in free open source tools deployment, using tools deployment, it's like DevOps practices, DevOps tools, and you have expertise in that, you can go with Jenkins. So this is the major difference. That's it, guys. So that is it for today, guys. I hope you liked the content. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the DevOps Master for more content related AWS and DevOps.